Literacy. It's all over the news. Studies have found that only 33% of U.S. fourth graders are proficient in reading, and 40% scored below a basic level, while eighth graders are charting with 33% of students scoring below basic reading, which is the highest in more than 50 years. These numbers are disturbing and they're shocking. I mean, can you imagine going through life not being able to read or reading just barely? I mean, once you learn to read, you can't unlearn it. Letters jump together and form words, words form sentences, and sentences form concepts. How frustrating life would be with an inability to read. And the question is, don't schools have a responsibility to clear these hurdles that make reading harder? I mean, for that matter, do these hurdles even have to be hard? The answers are yes and no. My name is Preston Blackburn. I've spent more than 2 decades helping schools get kids moving for improved learning and behavior. But our culture is working against our kids. Our education culture is designed for sedentary behaviors, sitting at desks for instruction, plowing through worksheets, and taking tests. But this is not how the brain works. The brain depends on the movement of the body to lay neural connections that help it understand how to use the body to attend, to learn, and ultimately to succeed. When we fail to give the brain what it needs in order to learn, then we make school harder than it should be. We make learning no fun. And what do kids do when something is no fun? They don't do it. So is that how we want to educate our kids? I don't think so. And if you are here, you probably don't think so either. But I will tell you, there is an easy, inexpensive, and apolitical way to improve this situation. If you haven't already, please watch our other videos linked below. It sets the stage for what I'm about to share, which is kind of mind-blowing. So the real question is, do schools have a responsibility to make the hurdles to mastering reading less difficult? Yes. Do these hurdles have to be hard? No. As I just said, many of the challenges children face when it comes to learning can be overcome easily without a lot of expense or politics. Let's look at what I mean. To learn to read, children need 2 fundamental things. They need to be able to see the letters clearly, and they need to be able to keep their bodies still. If they can see the letters clearly, then they can begin to distinguish them, learn what they mean, how they sound when they are grouped together, and what their meaning is. They have to be able to sit still because their little brains cannot multitask. So if their bodies are moving, their brains are busy dealing with their bodies. And a moving body is not going to allow the brain to listen to the teacher, follow directions, or tackle letters, sounds, and meanings. So before we can even teach them to tackle phonemic awareness, phonics, or even letter recognition, we have to give them a strong base on which to do that. They have to be able to see letters, and they have to be able to sit still. And guess what? The way the brain can help the body on this course is to move. A lot. Children's brains need their bodies to move in order to keep letters from jumping around on the page and bring calm to the body and ultimately the mind. Let me explain. When children spin, swing, slide, hang upside down, somersault, and log roll, their eyes and heads move in multiple planes and directions, forcing their eyes to move and adjust, grab onto focal points to allow the brain to understand that it is their bodies that are moving and not the world. This sense of movement and balance lives in our inner ear and helps us stay upright and balanced as we sit at a desk, walk down the street, or climb a tree. Once this conversation between the eyes and the brain is well developed, then the brain lays a steadying hand on what our eyes see. Do you remember those old films? I think they were called Super 8 film, which is jumpy and hard to watch. Now, if you tried to use your phone to take a video walking down the street, even though you were jumpy and moving around as you did it, the technology uses something which I believe is called a gimbal to steady what is being recorded. So what does this mean in practice? Notice how the Super 8 film, without the gimbal, makes everything jump around. Well, children who have not spent enough time spinning, swinging, sliding, log rolling, hanging upside down, and somersaulting will be challenged with learning to read because their brains can't lay that steadying hand on their eyes. And when they sit down to read and write, letters will jump around on the page. This lack of movement, this sedentary behavior, means that they have not developed a strong focal point. Do you think playing screen-based technology gives children any chance whatsoever to spin, swing, slide, log roll, hang upside down, or somersault? I'm pretty sure your answer is a resounding no. And guess what else? When children's brains haven't received this kind of information, they are going to seek that information anyway in much less appropriate ways. They are going to move. They're going to move when we don't want them to. This is going to look like rocking, spinning, lots of wiggling, and even spacing out. They may appear to be hyperactive, easily distracted, have poor motor skills, or even fall out of their chairs. But whatever it is, they are in constant motion. And that looks like an inability to self-regulate, poor self-control, and bad behavior when it's just the brain screaming for information from the body, for information it hasn't yet received, information it is searching for, information it needs to develop appropriately. If we want children to read and write and master these skills, then we have to get them moving more first, so their brains are prepared to see letters on the page without their moving around, and so they can sit still and attend. And right now, after school time is just not going to fill that gap. It isn't. So the burden is going to fall on schools to get kids moving as much as possible to facilitate this process. How? We need to add more recess for unstructured play and make sure all kids are doing something physical while they are out there. If children are sitting out on the sidelines, we need to give them the confidence they need to move and use their bodies in physical play. We need to help them find things they enjoy that require them to use their bodies. At Pivot to Play, we have found children want to move their bodies and want to be physical in their play, as long as they know how to use their bodies, which is where the structured play comes in. Structured play is generally thought of as PE in elementary school and creative movement or motor development in preschool. When it comes to the school day, this structured play is the foundation on which all our learning begins. And let me be clear. This structured play should be less about sport and more about building strength, skills, and motor patterns needed for learning. Because kids simply don't have these skills today, and they don't have them for lack of moving. So we need to help them in an intentional and purposeful way to build these skills. When we give kids time to move in a physical way, their brains learn to use their bodies for learning. Their brains understand where their bodies are, what they are doing, and how to use them, whether it is for reading, writing, or sitting still and attending. Their brains have neural wiring that helps children learn, including the wiring needed to keep letters still on the page, including the wiring needed to keep their bodies and brains still. Through ample movement, their brains become satisfied so that when it is time to sit still, listen, and learn, they can. The problem is, too many schools today continue to pursue sedentary activities, which inhibits this process. Sedentary activities at school mean worksheets, videos, tests, and seated learning. Here is the message. Children are designed to move a lot. So, check out our website linked below for more information. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Pivot to Play, and get our newsletter, also linked below. And look for more posted videos here on YouTube about the brain science of moving for learning. And if you liked what you just heard or want to hear more, subscribe because we have lots more of this coming. And if this resonates with you, we provide professional development in schools. So learn more on our website or reach out to our teammate Kelsey Schmidt, also linked below. Nowhere is too far for us to go. And if you still want more, we have curriculum for children ages 2 to 5, also linked below. Keep in mind, our responsibility as the adults is to make learning easier, more accessible, and ultimately more fun for kids. If we can do this, I'm sure our literacy rates will improve, classrooms will be places of happy learning, and teachers will stay in the profession. It isn't rocket science, it's brain science. It's logical and it's 1000% developmentally appropriate. So let's get out of the way and let kids play. We'll outsmart the Wiggles and make learning easier.